This is Lake Bluff, Illinois, just north of Chicago. The houses are massive, the lawns sprawling. But even here in one of the wealthiest suburbs of America, people are getting hit by the downward spiraling economy. This is the local food pantry here. Over the last few years, they've seen a huge increase in the number of people from this community needing free food.
The fall is pretty dramatic. You can see this fear and trepidation, and many times people start crying.
This is Bob.
Here we go.
A man who went from making six figures to food stamps virtually overnight.
Thank you very much, Kath. Appreciate it. Thank you.
There is nothing that you'll ever do in life that can prepare you for something like this, ever.
These days, one can't open a newspaper without being bombarded with stories of America's decline. In the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, millions have been downsized, outsourced, laid off.
These were hard workers, skilled workers. It's a big corporation, and I feel like they just abandoned us. They don't care about the working class, they just want to make money.
Some can't even get their foot in the door, like recent college grads unable to find work.
I'm only 25. I haven't had another career. I have nothing to fall back on.
Tonight, we meet people who worked hard in pursuit of the American dream, only to find that dream may no longer exist.
All of a sudden, your priorities become your belly up against your backbone, and you tend to that most of the time. It's disappointment. What has happened to this country?
America, it can be inspiring and beautiful. It can also be dark and ugly. It's so many things, but it's ours. It's our America.
It's a really nice neighborhood.
It's gorgeous in here.
This is my old street. I haven't been back since we were evicted from the home. I don't want to conjure up those memories. That's the house we were living in right there. When we moved into that place, we had the brightest future ever for our families, still ahead of us. So we thought this was the first step in really making a new life out here.
56-year-old Bob has lost his job, his house, his dreams. How did this man who once led a comfortable middle-class life end up falling so far? All it took was a simple sequence of events. Four years ago, Bob made six figures working as a commercial lending executive when he and his family were living in New Jersey.
We had a cute little 3-bedroom Victorian home. We spent summers at the Jersey Shore. Things were good.
They were living the American dream. Nice vacations and Christmases with presents under the tree. Life was good and about to get even better. Bob's company paid for him and his family to relocate to the wealthy suburbs of Lake Bluff, Illinois, a neighborhood of the 1%. But little did Bob know the axe was about to fall.
In August of '08, they called me in and said they were eliminating my position. 3 or 4 weeks later, the market crashed, and then from there, the economy's just gone to hell in a handbasket.
Bob immediately started looking for another job in the insurance industry, but after an exhaustive search, he came up empty-handed. And after a few months, his severance package ran out. When they couldn't make rent, Bob and his family were evicted from their home.
The sheriff was there and a representative from the bank, and they put us on the street.
That was nearly 4 years ago, and Bob's unemployment benefits have long since disappeared.
I maxed out at 99 weeks, which is as far as the federal unemployment program will take you. So that money, basically $500 a week, seems like $1 million a week now.
Despite ongoing efforts, for Bob, like for many people over 55, it's been impossible to find work after getting laid off. The best he's been able to line up is a part-time custodial job at a local church for $11 an hour.
I lift boxes and I take out the trash. It's work. It's just something to do and to feel somewhat productive.
Without help from Bob's mother and father-in-law, they wouldn't be able to afford the modest house they live in now.
Is it hard to rely on your in-laws for rent?
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to be the provider, you know, and I've not been able to do that now for quite some time.
Do you think they're frustrated with you?
I don't think they're frustrated. I know they are. I know they do it for their daughter and for the kids. Without them, I don't know where we would be, quite frankly.
Bob's mother and father-in-law have run out of sympathy. While they continue to pay the rent, they won't even speak to Bob anymore.
We're inside.
Yeah, but don't cut too much. I don't want you to cut too much.
Bob's wife, Lisa, is fed up as well.
It's hot.
I know it's hot.
It's been hard. You keep on thinking it's going to change. You want to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
To make matters worse, Lisa has spent the last 5 years battling breast cancer. Finding a job and contributing to the family income were out of the question. Every marriage faces challenges, but this is more than Lisa expected.
Think about the vows. For richer, for poorer, we've got the poor. Sickness and health, we got the sickness. Better or for worse, we've got the worse. I mean, it's like, when does the positive stuff come?
Lately, Bob has been retreating to the basement.
It's a nice finished basement.
Does someone sleep down here?
Me. This is my man cave.
Has all this put a pretty big strain on your marriage and your relationship?
It has severely fractured our relationship. We don't get along real well.
For now, Bob does his best to keep things moving forward.
Morning, sweetheart. How are you?
Hey, Dad.
They come out, their lunches are done, their waters are there, and off they go to school. So just keeping day-to-day life as routine as possible, trying to hide the fact that, you know, I'm not making any money, or not, well, you know, I'm grossly underemployed, let's put it that way. Lunches are done.
It's a survival tool for Bob and his family, trying to make life seem as normal as possible for the kids. But being surrounded by wealth can make keeping up appearances that much harder. Bob's 4 children still attend the public school in the exclusive neighborhood of Lake Bluff, where most of their friends are still well off.
The type of car you drive around here is critical importance, so.
Just drop me off at the regular place.
Yeah.
While most of the kids at school are dropped off in shiny new SUVs, Bob's car is so beaten up, the kids ask to be dropped off in the back.
Bye.
All right, sweetheart.
Wait.
Oh, I got it on. All right. Okay, I'll see you later.
Oh, I hate this car.
As much as Bob wanted to preserve a sense of normalcy, I had to imagine the change in circumstances was taking a toll on his kids, like 16-year-old Madison.
I'm a little skeptical about it ever getting better. I mean, like, I'm not saying that to be like a negative person. It's just hard to like ever think that it will when it's been going on for so long.
Bob's youngest son, 12-year-old Aiden, seems the most deeply affected by all that's happened.
So, Aiden, do you remember when your family was evicted from the old house?
I was probably around 9 or 8.
Was it a hard day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why was it so hard? It's okay, sweetie.
They just took everything. The movers, they took everything and threw it out on the lawn.
It's been a rough couple years, huh?
Yeah.
You feel like it's made your family closer, or do you think that it's made it more difficult?
In some aspects, it's made us closer. But in others, it's kind of torn us apart. Some days are better than others. Sometimes there's a bill on the table saying how much is due, and I have to go through the rest of the day thinking about that.
For Bob, that his own children worry about the future tears him apart. It makes him question his own self-worth.
A father and a husband are, I now think, worth a little more than their paycheck. And when that paycheck goes away, then your value goes down. And that's how I feel. I cannot provide for my kids. So I make lunches for them, and I do what I can for them.
Bob and his family are holding on by a thread. From a comfortable, secure life, they now face an uncertain future. But this is the new America, and Bob is only one of many. I'm about to meet others who are still reeling from the shock of drastic change. More than 2,000 miles away, in the town of Everett, Washington, another American struggles. 47-year-old Teresa has joined the ranks of over 13 million who are unemployed. Less than a month ago, she got laid off when the paper mill where she worked for 27 years closed its doors for good.
It was pretty devastating news. They're going to be taking a lot of the machinery and shipping it off overseas to China, to Brazil, and 800 of us don't have a job. These were hard workers, skilled workers. It's a big corporation, and I feel like they just abandoned us. They don't care about the working class. They just want to make money. They're killing America is what they're doing.
It's an economic reality for the residents of a town once known as the city of smokestacks.
People worked at paper mills here, lumber mills. That was the industry of this town. It's definitely not anymore. They're all gone. This was the last of a dying breed. That's the first time I've ever seen the smokestack, no steam coming out of it. And the parking lot's totally empty. Thought I was gonna retire from here, like my mom did.
Just over a month ago, Teresa was earning up to $90,000 a year as a forklift operator, a union job with full benefits.
I was able to have numerous cars, a motorcycle. I went on vacation at least once, twice a year. It was a comfortable living.
Secure in the belief that her job would always be there, Teresa left herself no safety net.
I should have saved more. I could have saved more, but I didn't. I lived for the minute.
Even with unemployment benefits and a severance package, Teresa has had to make a radical adjustment to her lifestyle, leaving behind her home and a neighborhood she loved.
This is where I lived when I had money. I loved it. Beautiful little fenced yard, 3-bedroom, double garage, 3-bath. But it was a lot of rent, you know, $1,200 a month. Can't afford that anymore. Don't even want to look at it.
Now, for $715 a month, she's renting a 1-bedroom apartment in the basement of a young couple's home, sharing the tiny space with her son and her 3 dogs.
I knew I would have to downsize, and everything that I felt I had to keep, I put it in storage. My storage is stuffed. It's crammed. It's really crammed. There's just no room.
Teresa shares a single bedroom with her 17-year-old son, Kyle, a senior in high school. Their small space split by a thin divider.
Sharing that bedroom with Mom is terrible. I spend enough time with her as it is. I don't like to spend more time with her.
He's a teenager. He needs his space. What teenager wants to share their room with a mother?
The apartment doesn't include a kitchen, so Teresa's created a makeshift one.
It takes forever to make dinner. You can't make anything big. You don't have the room to make anything big. Like a big oven, I can make a big pan of chicken or something. I can't do that. I have to make a little pan of chicken. I have to wash the vegetables out in the bathroom sink, which is kind of gross, but you know, I keep it pretty clean in there.
But with just one tiny sink, the dirty pots and pans pile up. And when overwhelmed, Teresa has to haul them upstairs to use her landlord's sink.
It makes me feel kind of degraded. I mean, here I am, 47 years old, and I'm carrying my dirty dishes up to somebody else's kitchen to do them. I mean, it's just, I don't, it's not easy.
Teresa never thought she'd need to rely on government assistance, but it's a hard fact of her new life.
Every week you have to file for unemployment, and if you don't file, then you don't get paid. Now I gotta look for a job. I'm looking for anything. I mean, whatever, as long as it pays halfway decent, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, here's one. Assembly installer cable control system. Do you have any experience reading and interpreting assembly instructions or drawings? Well, I put lots of things together. Does that count? Like Christmas presents and stuff? And, you know, I'm gonna put yes.
There's not a lot of opportunity out there for a 47-year-old forklift operator. Teresa knows it'll be hard to land a job that pays anywhere near what she used to make. Her industry has up and gone, and it seems like it's not coming back. It's a profound change for a country that promised rewards for commitment and hard work.
I don't think my future looks all that bright. I really don't. The life that I had is over. My whole lifestyle is gonna have to change, and it has. I'm gonna have to watch money. I'm gonna have to go without. My son's gonna have to go without, and that's hard. I try not to think about things too much. I just try to live day by day and be thankful for what I got.
Back in the wealthy suburb of Lake Bluff, in the rented home paid for by his in-laws, Bob gets back on the computer to look for work again. In today's world, most job searches are done online, a sign of the changing times.
Keep that one up for now.
My resume is from coast to coast, from Oregon to Florida and Maine to Southern California, and everywhere in between.
Bob isn't alone. With nearly 13 million people unemployed in America, there are 4 applicants for every job.
No, it's not me.
For every executive position that's open, there was on average 400 applications for a single job.
It can be tempting to believe that the unemployed aren't trying hard enough, that they're just being lazy.
There are people who might say, there are jobs available. Why can't he work in a grocery store or as a waiter?
It's really hard to get those kinds of jobs, even at minimum wage. I work as a part-time custodian at a church. I'm emptying dumpsters. Obviously, my pride is not getting in the way of me trying to do things.
After pounding the pavement for nearly 4 years, it's easy to see how a man like Bob could get discouraged.
Everyone says, oh, you got to stay strong. You can't quit. But, you know, there's a difference between quitting and just know when you've taken enough. I could sit here all positive and bubbly and quoting all these great inspirational phrases, and as soon as I hit send, I know it's over, okay?
Bob has no idea when he's ever going to work again, but he still has to feed his family. Since the unemployment checks stopped coming, the only public assistance they receive is food stamps, $950 a month for 6 people.
So you know what you need, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, I do want to check the bagels over here. Oh, good, they have some.
But after the food stamps run out, they have very little to fall back on.
In the last week or 10 days of the month, we always run out of food stamps. And it's not from not being extremely discretionary in our shopping. I go out shopping and pick up 20 items at a grocery store. I'll be sure 19 of them are on sale.
So this is the meat section, which can be challenging because it's expensive. We try to have meat like twice a week, maybe. Can't tell you last time I had a lobster tail for dinner, believe me.
If going without isn't already hard enough for someone like Bob,
Hi, Janie.
How are you?
All right.
it's even harder to hand over food stamps at checkout.
I come up there and try to, hide the Link card, it's called, Illinois Link. It was difficult to think that someone was standing there looking at me, thinking, oh, look at this guy sucking up on welfare,
Thank you very much, Sally. Thanks, you too. All right, take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Like Bob, 1 in 6 people in America don't always know where their next meal is coming from.
Over here,
As executive director of the township, Gail Stringer-Wayne has overseen the food pantry since 2002. And over the past 3 years, she's seen plenty of change.
How many Bobs are there in this community? People who were making 6-figure incomes with families who are now without any income.
I can't tell you the number, but I know it's a growing number. There are more and more people who never thought they would be needing to access the public for assistance that are coming in here.
This pantry, it seems very private. There aren't a lot of people who are mulling around.
Right.
Is that intentional?
Yes, confidentiality is key for what we're doing and who we're doing it for. Because you can see this fear and trepidation, and many times people start crying. The fall is pretty dramatic. Their level of preparation is much less than people who might be generationally poor or impoverished. There's that whole pride thing that can be a real barrier for people.
How often do you come here?
I come here usually once a month, towards the end of the month, because the food cart is usually exhausted by then. We save this as like our emergency fund.
Bob relies on the pantry for a variety of supplies, including items that food stamps won't cover, like toilet paper, toothpaste, and shampoo. But most things are donated, so he only gets what's available.
Here we go. Great, thank you very much. I'm gonna get around the corner there, and one more time. There we go. Thank you very much, Kath, appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. These people really are living day to day. Going to the food pantry and not knowing what you're going to be given. It's a hard way to live, and they are one family of thousands and thousands in America right now who are going through a similar kind of fate.
If only the case of Bob and his family were unique, but the longer the country's economic crisis continues, the more people are affected, including America's next generation. Like Bob's oldest son, 18-year-old Alexander, who is about to head off to college next year. It's been hard on him, too.
I know, personally for me, I'm gonna be one of the most appreciative people ever. Like, every little thing that most people take for granted, I'm gonna know that it couldn't be there tomorrow, and just be thankful for what I have in that day.
In the suburbs of Philadelphia, 25-year-old Annette wakes to an uncertain future. She's trapped in the repetition of unemployment, looking for work day in and day out.
There's never any difference in the results. It just makes you feel like, why even get up? Why even look? Why even bother?
There was a time in America when a college education ensured a promising future. That's what Annette thought she would have when she graduated from law school. But like many recent law school grads, she now finds herself up against a brick wall.
Dear Annette, after careful consideration of your application, we have determined that we'll be unable to proceed further with your candidacy. Your credentials are impressive, and we will keep your resume on file should our needs change.
For the past 7 months, Annette has been getting one rejection letter after another. She's competing with laid-off lawyers who have years of experience.
The whole thing is so frustrating. You just feel like you can't even get your foot in the door. And it's not like I've only been looking for attorney jobs. When I apply for cashier positions and things like that, I don't get them because I'm competing with people who actually have experience.
Annette is desperate, and with good reason. She's carrying an enormous amount of debt, an estimated $250,000 in student loans. But when she borrowed the money for school, it hadn't seemed like a risk. Law students often land at firms with a starting salary of 6 figures. But the days of a guaranteed position are long gone. And now the lenders won't stop calling.
This is Ashley calling from Sally Mae to discuss the options available to you on your student loan.
Today they called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They called 7 times today. I had to start blocking the calls, just sending them straight to voicemail because I'm not sure what they think it's going to accomplish.
Annette is facing an uphill battle. Every day she remains out of work, her massive debt multiplies with interest.
Here's one for $3,700 in 2007. If I make all of my payments, I'll be paying them more than $10,000. This one was $4,000 on the nose when I got it in 2005. Now it's $7,000.
Annette never fathomed it would be this hard. She was the first in her family to go to college and chose law not for the money, but to make a difference.
Do this now.
Her inspiration was her baby sister.
Which one's the hot dog?
Annette's 9-year-old sister, Adriana, has special needs, diagnosed with nonverbal Down syndrome.
What about these socks? When my sister was born and I saw the struggles that my parents were going through trying to get her the needed services, and I just saw the difficulties that families affected by disabilities face, and I realized that there was a space for attorneys who practice in that area. I just felt like this is what I was supposed to do. I couldn't want anything more. I couldn't desire anything more. I couldn't work towards anything harder than I've worked. I'm only 25. I haven't had another career. I have nothing to fall back on. The only thing that I'm actually qualified to do by education is be an attorney, and I can't do it.
This wasn't the future Annette imagined when she began to build a life with her longtime love, Joseph. Aware of Annette's debt, Joseph was prepared to carry them both until she found a job. But just 5 months after Annette graduated, Joseph was let go from his IT contract.
It's hard for both of us. She's had to rely on me this whole time, and she really wanted this to be the opportunity to provide for herself and to help provide for us as a whole.
For now, all they have is Joseph's unemployment check, a little over $500 a week, and Annette struggles with the fact that her debt has become theirs to carry as a couple.
It's not fair to him to have to carry me. And I know that, part of a marriage is that support, but I just feel really guilty. I feel awful.
Like millions of students drowning in debt and facing a jobless market, Annette is stuck at go. She hasn't even gotten off the starting line.
I just feel like I'm lost and I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go or how I'm supposed to get there, but I'm hoping there's some sort of destination at the end, and I'm hoping I'm not crazy for thinking that.
The one thing Annette has on her side is youth, time to ride things out. But what about Americans who've retired? How are they coping with bank accounts permanently emptied by the recession? As high rates of unemployment continue across America and politicians duke it out over how to solve the problem, 2 unusual retirees deep in the heart of Southern Oregon seem like they might have it all figured out. This is 59-year-old Barb.
He's a character. Come on.
And her longtime partner, Tink. Barb worked at Folsom State Prison for 10 years. As a guard, she learned to be tough, to survive the chaos of maximum security. 11 years ago, Barb invested most of her retirement in a home with 20 acres of land. Her savings were depleted, but she had a roof over her head and a place to call her own.
I wanted to have my horses and I wanted to be able to ride, and that's just what I wanted to be able to do.
62-year-old Tink worked in steel mills and on railroads for 30 years. He was a union man.
I started out basic driving railroad spikes from the very bottom of that line of work, and I worked my way into train master. Oh, good life. You could make over $100,000 if you weren't put in the time.
Like many Americans, Tink worked hard. He retired with a monthly pension of $3,500, more than enough to live comfortably on the farm. But when the stock market crashed, Tink's pension went along with it, leaving him and Barb to scrape by on just $950 a month, half of which had to go to the mortgage.
This house went into foreclosure at one point.
Yes.
How did it get to that?
We had some difficult choices to make, so we chose to feed ourselves and the animals and deal with the house payment later.
Unlike so many others in the country, Barb was able to renegotiate with the bank to save the house. But it left them with only $400 a month to cover all their other expenses.
You would not believe some of the things that we went through just for no money.
We spent a month without toilet paper.
Like, what are some of the things that you had to go through at the worst point?
The food was the major stress
That was the
point.
hardest part.
That was the hardest thing.
Given their age and the remote place they lived, it would be tough for either of them to find a job. They would have to make do with what little they had.
Yep, that's Monty.
So you're living very smartly.
You have to. It's necessary. You're not going to survive.
Barb and Tink rolled up their sleeves, doing away with anything and everything that was not a necessity, getting back to the basics in order to survive. The key, they found, was complete self-sufficiency.
It was a system that Barb came up with, incredible gal, came up with and got us through it.
A flock of 10 chickens and 10 geese provide eggs when they're laying, as well as a little inspiration for tough times.
Oh, he doesn't have any feet.
No feet.
Oh.
He has learned how to survive.
See that chicken with no feet?
They keep an Angora goat named Reba for wool. And through the process of trial and error, they figured out how to cultivate their own garden.
Out here, it took us 4 hard years of figuring out just how to get something to grow adequately and what crops to do. It's a lot of sweat, but it's worth it.
Now the garden provides enough to get them through winter. Carrots, beets, spinach, even raspberries. Most of us would probably consider growing and raising our own food too impractical. But perhaps we have a thing or two to learn from Barb and Tink, who've now been living this way for the past 4 years out of necessity. With the cost of gas at an all-time high, even their supply runs have to be rationed.
You have to plan your town trips once per month because of the gas prices. That way you can get by on the $60 you have allotted for gas, on the $120 you have allotted for food.
What they can't grow on the farm must be purchased at the grocery store. Barb buys only what they need, nothing more, nothing less.
I'm not going to get anything that isn't on the list. I made the list for that specific purpose so I don't get sidetracked and spend any extra money at all, not even an extra dime.
Could I get a case of oranges, please?
Barb will turn this entire box of oranges into jam, juice, and dried fruit for under $20.
Thank you. Have a good day. You too.
And when she can, she buys in bulk. It's the best way to save money.
Price change on that, reduction of $5.
But stretching a dollar means making sacrifices along the way.
They raised the price $6 on the honey. It's now $36.
When Barb adds everything up, she's spent less than $120, the monthly amount allocated for food.
Bye-bye, peanut butter.
Back at home, Barb makes their bread fresh, a $3 a day savings over store-bought.
We go through a loaf of bread a day.
And Barb uses the bread she bakes to barter for goods she wouldn't otherwise be able to afford.
Hey. Bye. I didn't know I was getting 2 loaves. Wow. Hey, this is salmon that I caught in Alaska.
Oh, that looks excellent.
Barb even cooks on the wood stove in the wintertime to save on electricity, because every penny counts.
This thing is so warm. And I have had to learn to be an absolute budget freak. It's either that, or you just go without. And certain things you don't want to go without, so.
Through necessity, Barb and Tink have figured out a way to support themselves, all of their farm animals, and a macaw named Rita. It's a lot of hard work, but it seems to me there are lessons here for all of us.
We live in a different time where we need to think about where things come from and how to conserve and to be more resourceful with the things that we have. And while the way they're living may seem a little bit extreme to some people, there certainly are bits and pieces that I think we could all benefit from.
So this is your homemade mayonnaise? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's delicious.
I know that Barbara and I are going to be just fine because of what we do.
Because you can live off the land.
Absolutely. If people would come to grips with what has happened and quit sniveling and start getting back to basics, it makes a dollar bill go a lot longer because there's very few of them nowadays for all of us, you know.
If we can do it, anybody can. But you have to get really tough on yourself. And you have to decide that you're going to do it no matter what. That you're going to get to the end of the race.
Back in the Chicago suburb of Lake Bluff, the holidays are here for Bob and his family. Bob's found secondhand suitcases that need a few repairs, and the kids are busy packing for Christmas vacation, a trip to their grandparents' home in South Carolina.
I'll fix that for you. Don't
I got this. Hold on.
But the tension between Bob, his wife, and his in-laws has gotten so bad that this year, Bob will be spending Christmas at home alone.
My in-laws footed the bill for Lisa and the kids to fly on Saturday, and they'll be there for 2 weeks. And I'm staying here with the cat.
It won't be the same without having Dad there. You're used to waking up and having him down by the Christmas tree. He's not going to be there on one of the most important days of the year.
Even if Bob eventually finds a job, the damage has already been done.
The optimist in me wants to think that my dad will get a job soon enough. The realist in me thinks that he's a 56-year-old unemployed executive and there's not a big market for that. And the pessimist in me thinks that this is going to go on forever.
It's a hidden reality of our troubled economic times, families coming apart at the seams.
What's keeping you together?
The kids. I know they say you should never stay together because of the kids, but I would die without my children, and she would too. So we'll find a way to make it work. Now comes the fun part.
After nearly 4 years of unemployment, it's all Bob can do to keep whatever hope he has left alive.
I want to be able to say to the kids, Daddy's going to start going to work again on Monday morning, and I'll have a paycheck for you.
Let's try her again.
But how much longer will Bob and his family be able to keep holding on?
How long will it go on? I don't know. No one knows. So you just gotta try to keep banging away at it and keep your spirits up as best you can, which for me is becoming more and more difficult every day, quite frankly.
And where does it leave the next generation? Young adults like Annette. For them, the future is even more uncertain. There are no longer any guarantees.
I feel like the world where all you have to do is work hard enough and then you get something is gone.
Buried in mountains of student debt and unable to find her first job, what is Annette going to do now? Manufacturing used to account for 1/3 of all jobs in America. But over the last 12 years, 40,000 factories have closed. After losing jobs that may never come back, people like Teresa will have to figure out new ways to survive.
This is the mobile home park that I've been looking at. That's my #1 priority right now is housing. It's just trying to find a place that I can live relatively inexpensive.
Americans aren't used to downsizing, to compromising, but it's what the times are calling for. That and finding creative solutions to stay afloat.
It's tough. It's hard to admit the fact that you're screwed down so tight you can't really have a pleasurable life anymore. Now everything is all basic survival.
It's clear that the promise America once held is changing, and that we all might have to give up a little bit of our own American dream and evolve with the changing times simply to get by.
It really is a change in the whole ethos of America, you know, the idea that in this country you can be anything you want to be. I don't know that anyone can say that that's true anymore. You can be anything you want to be, but you can just as easily lose it in a moment's notice. These are different times.
Hi, YouTubers. I'm excited to give you an update about our own YouTube channel. Now you can find new videos every day. They're the kind of videos that will make you look at life differently. They may even make you laugh a little bit. Subscribe to the OWN channel today, and we'll see you on YouTube.